Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy and I haven't done a video in a while. It's Christmas season and family get-togethers and everything, but hopefully in the new year I'll be able to do more videos. I want to thank everyone that has watched and subscribed to my channel. And of course with the new year comes the annual vinyl tag, and this year the great Rob Walker out of Manchester in the UK has provided the questions. And he's got 20 of them, and so let's just get right into it. Question number one, your favorite new release of 2022, and that would be, if I can find it here, Bronco by Orville Peck. If you don't know Orville Peck, I would say, like, combine Nick Cave with Roy Orbison, you might have some idea, but great stuff by him. If you want to check out a couple songs, I would recommend Daytona Sand or Blush. But great album and my favorite of 2022. Next, the last band or solo artist you saw live, and that for me would be Belinda Carlisle. I saw her at the Uptown Theater in Kansas City. This is her album, By the Way, I Forgive You, which kind of goes back to her album Story, or what that Story was on. Is that the name of the album too? I can't remember now. But this is a very personal album, kind of deeply emotional Americana artist, Brandi Carlile. All right, the next question, or prompt I should say, is their first album was their best. And there's several artists you could use for that, but I'm going to use this self-titled album by The Cars from 1978. And it's almost like a greatest hits album. You've got Just What I Needed, Let the Good Times Roll, or Good Times Roll, My Best Friend's Girl, Moving in Stereo, You're All I've Got Tonight. Yeah, like a greatest hits. And this, to me, it's still their best album, although they did some other albums that are very good as well. The Cars. The next question was a little hard for me. It was a hat trick to show an album you have on vinyl, CD, and cassette. Well, I don't really collect cassettes at all. I made mixtapes back in the day, but I don't really have any pre-recorded cassettes. So I went with this. I've got this Casablanca. It's not the full soundtrack, but got Humphrey on there from this 1942 classic movie, Casablanca, and has some of his other film scores on here too, but it's mostly Casablanca. And then I do have the full soundtrack on CD. And this is what my hat trick's going to be. I also have the movie on DVD, which classic movie, most people know. So that's going to serve as my hat trick. Fifth prompt, an album that starts and ends with the same letter. So I'm using this New Zealand artist, Tammy Nielsen, and her album Sassafras. She was actually born in Canada, but her musical career has really been in New Zealand. Kind of a Wanda Jackson, rockabilly, using some country, a little more bluesy than Wanda Jackson was. Yeah, she did some blues songs on there too. So that's the fifth one. Number 6, Born the Same Year as You. So I'm showing this Elvis Costello and the Attractions album, Imperial Bedroom, and this is actually the tour I saw Elvis on. But there's Elvis there, but he was born a few days after me in the same year. That's Steve Naive of the Attractions, also the Imposters, his current group. And he also did an album, or a box set of live performances with just Steve Naive, the piano player, and Costello together, this is a great set. Anybody that's interested? 7, most listened to album in 2022. And I'm going to say it's the album Moondance by Van Morrison. This album came out in 1970, and Rich Strickler on his channel, I did a ranking video with with him and Sam St. John, where we ranked the songs on this album. So I was listening to it a lot to get ready for that. Of course, Van Morrison's my favorite artist, as many people know, and it's still my third favorite Van Morrison album. But after listening to it for that video, I've been listening to it a lot since, and so this is probably my most listened to album in 2022 is Van Morrison's Moondance. The eighth prompt, the most listened to artist in 2022, that would probably be wonderful Bob Dylan. This is his album from 1975, Desire. Great album of his and kind of underrated, I think. But the reason I'm going to say Bob Dylan is because I bought a bunch of the box sets. I got these original mono recordings, which on CD, which goes from his debut to John Wesley Harding. Also got in the bootleg series number 13, Trouble No More, which is like 9 discs. And I got the 5 discs Bob Dylan Springtime in New York, 1980 to 1985. This is a bootleg series, volume 16. And I also bought the 2 disc, or the 2 vinyl one. I haven't even opened this one yet. But that was a lot of Bob Dylan to listen to, and I've listened to a lot of that. So that's my most listened to artist. Prompt number 9, show a Australian artist or band. And I'm showing Paul Kelly and the Messengers. This is the album Gossip from 1987. Paul Kelly, kind of a rock icon in Australia, but not well known in the United States. I don't know about the UK. But and some of his music would call kind of folky Americana, and you'd call it if he was a U.S. artist, but rock and folk, he combines a lot of different genres, but great artist, Paul Kelly and the Messengers. This is a great album of his, one of his best, Gossip. Okay, surprising purchase of 2022. This is a 2008 release, and it's the Eagles of Death Metal, Heart On, which most people know that I'm not a huge metal person. And another surprising thing is when I got this album, it wasn't really heavy metal. It was more of a hard rock with a little blues influence, which was, I wasn't expecting that. And I really enjoyed this one. They've got some humor in their music as well. The Eagles of Death Metal from 2008. An artist or band you're complete on. Well, I've got several I could pick, but I'm just going to show a couple of the albums I have on vinyl. This is Warren Zevon's album, The Envoy, which came out in '82. I can't really read my writing here. And then Warren Zevon's album, Excitable Boy, probably is best known, has the big hit Werewolves of London, which came out in 1978. And I have most of them on vinyl, but I do have them on CD as well. And combined between the two, I have everything he's ever recorded. So that's Warren Zevon as the artist I have a complete collection of. The next prompt, an artist that had a great run of 3 albums. And these are from 1963, 66, and 67. 3 releases in a row from the great Bobby Blue Bland. This is the album Call on Me, which has maybe some of his biggest hits. Call on Me, Share Your Love with Me, Ain't It a Good Thing, and That's the Way Love Is, which was a hit, and that's kind of what they put on the bottom here. But yeah, Bobby Blue Bland kind of combined blues. He's called a blues crooner, but he kind of combined blues and R&B and soul. They kind of did his own genre in a way. But Bobby Blue Bland, that's Call on Me. And then like 3 years later is The Soul of the Man. Dear Bobby, The Notes is probably my favorite song on this one. And then the year after that is Touch of the Blues by Bobby Blue Bland. Great 3 albums in a row by him. This one, That Did It, and the title track are ones I really recommend on that one. So that's Bobby. Number 13, show an 80s soundtrack. Well, I have quite a few soundtrack recordings, so that was easy. This is The Untouchables, also a very good movie. This is Ennio Morricone. On the hype sticker, I didn't take the shrink off this. It advertises the mission, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Good, the bad, and the ugly is probably his most famous soundtrack recording. Also, Once Upon a Time in the West is pretty iconic as well. But Ennio Morricone, The Untouchables, from 1987. Next, we lost them in 2022. And so I'm going to say Jerry Allison, who was the drummer for the Crickets. Of course, that's Buddy Holly. And I couldn't call it Buddy Holly and the Crickets, I think, because of some kind of legalese. So they had to just use the band name, so it's just going to be the Crickets on this debut. And then it also has, if I can find it, Nikki Sullivan, who would leave not long after this one. And the other guy is Joe Malden on bass. So anyway, Jerry Allison, the last of the Crickets, of the original Crickets, who passed away this year. Oh, and I guess I didn't say it came out in 1957, has like the biggest hits like That'll Be the Day, Oh Boy, Not Fade Away, Maybe Baby, but great album from 1957. And let's see, the next, number 15, your disappointing purchase in 2022. Of course, a lot of people know that Van Morrison is my favorite artist. And I got this album, What's It Gonna Take? Van Morrison from this year. It's kind of his Get Off My Lawn album, which he's always had a few of those songs on a lot of his albums. But this one, like, it was almost a whole album of that. And the music didn't really work as well. There's a couple songs on here, but I do like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers homage on the cover. But yeah, it was a disappointing purchase. Probably my least favorite Van Morrison album, and it came out this year, or 2022. Prompt 16, show a non-vinyl purchase. And I'm going to show this Andrew Partridge, Fuzzy Warbles 1 through 3. Now, we released each of these separately, 1, 2, and 3. This is a combination or a collection of the first 3 of them. And these were like songs that XTC had worked on. I mean, so there's some XTC people on here as well as Andrew Partridge, but he's the one that just got the collection all together and really did most of the after effects on it. Unfortunately, there's some filler on here, but the songs that were unreleased that he really worked on are just fantastic, and you go, this could have been an XTC songs. So there are some gems on here, but like I said, there is some filler as well, and that's Fuzzy Warbles, Andrew Partridge, Volume 1 through 3. If you're an XTC fan, I would recommend it. If you're just casual XTC fan, maybe it's not for you, but I don't think this ever came out. I know this collection never came out on vinyl, and I'm not sure the first 3 volumes came out on vinyl as well, but Andrew Partridge, it's my non-LP, non-vinyl purchase. Right. Prompt 17, you found a grail. Well, I've shown some of the grail, so I tried to not show something I've shown already. So I'm showing this Pogues debut, Red Roses for Me, which I did not have on vinyl, or I didn't have any kind of form. And I've been looking for it for quite a while. Finally found a good copy. Of course, the Pogues are kind of folk punk, maybe you would call them, Irish folk punk, although I think they might have a Brit or two in the band. But this is a wonderful album by the Pogues, their debut, which if I Should Fall from Grace with God's might be my favorite Pogues album, but this is very good as well, their debut. Prompt 18, show a space-themed album sleeve or song. So I'm going with the Skatalites. This is their 2012 album called Walk With Me, which kind of got a satellite on the cover, kind of making fun of the Skatalites. Of course, they were huge in the development of ska, but this is, like I said, 2012, so I think, if I'm correct on that, Lester Sterling, the alto sax player, might be the only original member still left when they recorded this, because I know several of them had passed away right before this recording happened. But yeah, wonderful ska music by the Skatalites, or reggae. Prompt 19, show some VCLT or present. I don't think I got any VCLT this year, so the closest I can think of is my brother and sister-in-law bought me this Dylan book, Chronicles Volume 1, which is a great read for anyone that's a Dylan fan. So I'm going to have to include that. That'll be my my present. And prompt 20, show an album released in 1973. So I'm going to show Alice Cooper. This is Muscle of Love. Probably has my favorite Alice Cooper song on here, and Teenage Lament, 74. But yeah, I had this kind of unique packaging with like the cardboard. With the cardboard, and then the sleeve. There you see Alice right there, and the record, and then like the program thing here of the Institute of Nude Wrestling, class of 74, like a yearbook type thing. Anyway, that's my vinyl tag. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to try to watch everyone's that I can. Thanks, Rob, for providing the questions or prompts, and hope everyone's doing well this new year.